What is going on, guys? It is Daniel Wright. You are here listening to another episode of Paving the Way. And happy freaking Wednesday to you. For all those that are in the United States, I hope you and your family and your friends had a great 4th of July holiday. Was able to enjoy doing the things that you love with the people you love, doing whatever you want to do, celebrating our freedom and getting to enjoy this life that we're blessed to live. If you are not listening from the United States, I know I got a couple guys in Canada that tend to tune in. Well, I believe your holiday was on Monday, and so I hope you enjoyed it then. And I hope you just had a great Tuesday. So there's that. But I'm happy to have you here on Wednesday, and hope your week is going well. I know here in the States it's kind of a weird work week, with a holiday falling right in the middle of it and things like that. But nonetheless, we still have things to do, missions to accomplish, and impacts to make. Right. So today, guys, I want to jump into a couple things that have kind of been on my mind recently. It's about using your network, all right? And I don't mean using your network as far as like taking advantage of it or exploiting it or things like that. It's using your network because you are surrounded by the people you're surrounded by for a reason, whether that's good or bad, right? If you're surrounded by people who are pulling you up, you should probably tap into that and help, allow them to help you be pulled up. If you're surrounded by people who are pulling you down, well, you should probably reevaluate who you're spending your time with, right? So I got kind of a basic little two-part formula to getting the most out of your network. All right. So at the end of the day, one thing that was brought to my attention recently, as I mentioned the other week, we just were in Vegas, had the top contractor school inner circle retreat, and one of the things that we do there is I don't want to give it away for the people who haven't been to one yet, but there comes a time during the retreat where you're kind of asked to think about like a word that describes what you're feeling or what you're getting out of it or things like that. And the word that I chose this retreat was identity. The reason I chose identity is because I believe that we are all at one point or another, at one part of the journey or another, we're down this path to continue finding our identity, right? As an individual, as a man, a woman, a husband, a wife, a kid, an entrepreneur, an employee, whatever it may be. And I think when we're constantly trying to find our identity, we sometimes feel like no one understands us, right? No one gets where we're coming from or how we feel or what we're going through. And I came to a conclusion that that's actually about 100% false. Uh, of the billions of people that are on this planet, I can promise you that there is at least one other person that understands you, that's gone through what you're going through, or is going through what you're going through, or that will go through what you're going through, right? So we're all going down our own paths, our own journey of life. But at the end of the day, like we all are relatable. We all can relate to each other in one way or another. And so with the word identity, I've always been told, don't take advice from people you wouldn't trade places with. And as far as that's, good advice, I kind of took that too literally for a while and said, well, if I wouldn't trade places with this person all around, everything about them, their work, their personal, their faith, their fitness, whatever it may be, if I wouldn't trade places with all of them, then I shouldn't listen to anything. And I learned that's false. All right. Because a guy over here that I may look at and admire the way him and his wife relationship, he may be able to teach me about marriage. And then a guy over here who I may admire how he has a team of, at his company that is all cohesive and has a great culture and morale and things like that. He may be able to teach me about company culture. A guy over here who has built, generational wealth and things like that, may be able to, teach me about finances. So learning how to find kind of those little identifiable pieces in each person that you want to relate to, that you want to learn from, is very important. And then when you find those things, you want to make sure that you tap into them. All right. Because that guy who's really figured out how to have a great marriage, or that girl who's figured out how to really be a great entrepreneur, or whatever it may be that you're trying to identify with, more than likely has a lot to offer you. Like they want to help you. Because what I found is that most people, when they've learned something and figure it out, they get super excited about teaching other people how to do just that. All right. Think about when we were little kids. At the end of the day, we all love to go home and tell our parents from school what we learned, right? Now, yeah, as we got older into middle school and high school, it was how was your day at school? I was boring. I didn't learn anything, blah, 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 that we just made up, right? But at the end of the day, when we learned how to do math, we wanted to show everybody we could do math. When we learned how to spell our name, we wanted to show everybody we could spell our name. Well, it doesn't change as we get older, guys. Once we learn how to accomplish something as an adult, we want to show other people how we did that. And you hopefully are showing people who take that advice and go do something with it. And so once you find those people that you want to tap into more with, that you want to build a deeper relationship with and build trust with, you want to like sink that relationship as deep as you possibly can, really. And that starts with letting them in. I know I put up a post on my social media. I think it was either early this year or late last year about let them in. I've always been someone who kind of lives my life with walls up around me. And for whatever reason, I don't really know, but I've finally started learning that to take those walls down allows me the opportunity to not only receive help from others, but help more people as well. So build the relationships with those individuals that you would be willing to learn from, to take advice from, and that you want to also help in whatever ways you can as well. And then once you do that, like here's the second part of this formula. The second part is you have to take action. All right. And again, referring to the top contractor school retreat from last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever that was, the theme of the weekend was take action. Don't just consume the information. Don't just be a reservoir of learning and lessons and things like that. Because what happens to a stagnant pond, right? It gets nasty. It gets infested with mosquitoes and bugs and algae and just nasty crap. It does nothing, right? And instead, you need to be a river. You need to be something where information comes in, it flows through you, you do something with it, and then you export it. You put it out. You do something with it. You take the people that you're wanting to learn from, in my opinion, from what I've learned, are typically in phase 2 or 3 of life, right? So you have kind of 3 phases of life. The one where you're just basically taking, you're a taker, you're learning everything. That's kind of infancy, childhood, and even probably young adulthood, where you're just learning as much as you possibly can. You don't actually have a whole lot, yet to give back to other people. Phase 2 is where you're not taking as much, you're kind of more stable, you've got a foundation built, you're still learning, but you have a little bit that you can give back to the people coming up behind you. And then phase 3 is where you're in the philanthropical stage, right? So you're giving. You're just wanting to give back all the lessons that you've had. Because let's face it, when we die, if we don't pass on these lessons, then they die with us. So what good is that? Unless you're just dying, living as a selfish person, want to die as a selfish person and let no one else learn from what you've learned in your life. So the people who are willing to give the most and give good advice, right? Not advice because they think they're going to get something, or maybe an advice with an agenda or things like that. The people who are willing to give good advice the most are typically 2 or 3. And by that point in their life, it is worth more to them to help other people avoid their own mistakes than anything else. Right. I've been fortunate to have conversations with people who are way further along in life than me, whether it's financially, whether it's in their marriages, their businesses, just life in general, whatever it is. And they've been conversations that these people have actually, like, other people have paid to have these conversations with them. And I've been fortunate to be in the rooms with them, to build relationships with them, that I am able to just tap into them as a friend or as a network or things like that. And the biggest thing, whenever I ask them, like, well, what can I do for you for being willing to help me? And it's like, it never fails that the answer is always just take my advice and go do something with it. Go make a difference. Go make the change. Go implement something. Take action. Right. So when these people are being willing to give you the good advice, you have to make sure that you do something and take action. At the end of the day, if they spend their time with you, giving you advice that they don't owe you anything, right? Let's face it, like, we just don't. We don't owe each other anything. If they choose to spend their time doing that with you and for you, and you don't do anything with it, you just completely disrespected that person. And chances are, once they find out that you did nothing with the advice they gave you, they're not going to be willing to give you that advice again. So you just burnt that bridge. Next time you come asking a question to them, they're going to say, I don't know much about that. It's not my area of expertise. I'll go talk to this person, because you've already burned them. And it's not anything about monetary. It's not anything about giving and getting and things like that. It's just about respecting their time. And if they're giving you the step-by-step solutions to solve your problems or to get yourself on the right path, and you do nothing with that, there really isn't anything more that you can do to disrespect them. So when they give you that advice, make sure that you put plans in place and take action immediately because nothing else is more disrespectful than that. Like I said, guys, the two-part formula to get the most out of your network is identify the network you want to be a part of, get involved with those people, and it's going to be multiple different people, probably out of multiple different networks that you want to learn from and that you want to give to. So you identify those, you let them in, and then you build those deep relationships that are filled with trust. And this isn't just professional, this is personal as well. You know, whether it's family members that you want to get to know better, whether it's friends or neighbors or coworkers, anything like that, you want to just dive into those relationships because we were not put on an earth with billions of people to do life by ourselves. And so once you establish that relationship with them and you start having those conversations, take action with the advice that you learn because that is the best way to honor you their time, the most valuable thing that they possibly own to try and help you excel in your life and avoid the mistakes that they've made. So find your relationship and take action. Guys, I hope you have a great rest of your Wednesday, and I look forward to seeing each of you guys on Saturday. Take care.